Hey guys, I know this isn't power sports related, but I'm just sharing it with you because I know fuel prices are getting out of hand. Me and my wife, we bought this 2014 Chevy Cruze, sorry, 4 years ago, and it actually has a 2-liter turbo diesel engine in it and gets 50 miles to the gallon easy. We've actually driven this car from Decatur, Texas to Bentonville, Arkansas on one tank, which is about 323 miles one way. So we drove around there, came back, and we're able to do it in one tank. So just sharing some information because people don't know about these. You can pick them up for pretty cheap now. Maybe not that fuel prices are going up, but just people don't know about them. They have a 2nd generation diesel Cruze also that has a 1.6 liter newer engine in it. They also put that engine in the GMC Terrain and the Chevy Equinox. My sister has the Equinox version, and it honestly gets close mileage to this. It'll probably do 45, maybe low 40s on the highway. So just some information to put out there. You know, I know people are kind of cramping with fuel prices right now, so just sharing that info with you because we've loved this car and don't plan on getting rid of it just because it's a good car to have. And if you need to go somewhere far, I mean, you can fill it up with a roll of quarters, or at least we used to. So did forget to mention that it is actually tuned by PPEI, so it has I think it's a 50 horse tune, something like that. So it adds 50 horse, and then it adds like 125 foot-pounds or something like that. So the car's probably at the flywheel 200 horsepower, 400 foot-pounds, which for a little car like this is a lot of power. I like it because it drives like a diesel truck. Like, you just kind of lay into a little bit, doesn't have to downshift, and from 1200 RPMs, it can put you back without having to wind out like a typical little Cruze or Corolla where normal acceleration you're like 5,000 RPMs just winding the engine out. If you're looking for something that you need to save a little money on fuel and you're looking to change cars or get a commuter, I recommend these. We're going to get to the KRX, doing the engine oil and filter, and then the Transaxle oil and the diff oil.
We go ahead and get our rock blocks mounted up on the KRX. Protect these control arms. Again, we've run these guys on the X3s. Great product. Love them. Really protect the paint from getting a lot of the rocks thrown off these big meaty tires up front here. So I'm gonna slap those guys on. All right, got this side slapped on there, so pretty easy install. Awesome hardware, little backer they come with nowadays. Nice sturdy bracket. Uses the same bolt as the toe link here for the stabilizer. So got to get that off with a 14 millimeter, and then it's smooth sailing from there. Bracket's pretty sturdy. Comes with a little rub pad that mounts on down here to the bottom of the bracket so it doesn't rub through the paint. But pretty sharp setup. Obviously I'm kind of tight here with these other units, but knock out the other side and we'll be all done. All right, getting this other side slapped on. Obviously pretty easy to figure out hardware. Good stuff. Easy to slap that bracket on. Get the stewed on. We'll be wrapped up with these. Opening goods, some dinosaur blood in these things. Christmas Day here. Trying to figure out this box. All right. So obviously gonna load in some Amsoil stuff into these guys. This is for the X3 also, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So we got the X3 oil. So we got our gear oil, severe gear stuff for these units. good stuff. Got our sweet Amsoil sticker. Just slap it on for Jeremy. And some more severe gear. So we got 7590, 7590, and then we got some 75 140 here as well.
Yep. So the X3 actually calls for the 140 in the rear. So we're going to do that in a later video. You'll see how much easier it is to actually service this KRX versus an X3.
Yep. So
X3
we got
kind of sucks.
yeah, not very fun. 1040 is what we're going to slap into this guy. Obviously, super good stuff. Very common in these Kawasaki's that this stuff goes in there. And we got the 5W50 that we're going to throw into my XRS. So get these goods kind of laid out here, and then we'll take the drain plug out of the motor. We got her a little heated up. Start draining the oil. We'll get a rag, throw it under the filter. Obviously, the good thing I like about these is we're going back with OEM Kawasaki because this is under a warranty, and sometimes they frown upon if you've got a non-OEM filter on there. The funny thing is we've been putting this filter on our Prairies for the last 20 years. This is the exact same filter that comes on, you know, my 1998 Kawasaki Prairie. So we happen to buy a lot of tough stuff in the past, so we've got piles of these guys. But pretty funny. I mean, it's the same thing on my 98, my 2008, and then y'all's 2002. It's the same filter.
2002, and then
so,
same on my Brute Force 750
right?
that was 08.
Yeah, so kind of funny. They just keep using the same old technology.
Because if it works, it works.
Works, you can't beat it. So the only thing about the filter location, obviously you're gonna have to put a rag down here. You're gonna get a little bit, but obviously you want to kind of tip it out and towards you whenever you pull it out. We'll take a look at the sight glass once we get oil back in it. I love that it has this. It was kind of like my KLR. It had it on its 650. I think we're going to get up to about 3/4 of the sight glass window once we're all said and done and it's cooled off, and we'll go from there. So we'll start the laps and get this sucker changed out.
So it's not a huge deal on a new unit like this, but I would recommend whenever you're going to do service on anything, make sure to take out the fill plugs first. And the reason I say that is because I've been caught to where I drained the fluid out of a differential and then I could not get the fill plug. So I can't even remember what I ended up doing. I think I ended up drilling it out and like doing all sorts of extra crap. That was actually on my Brute Force 750. Had like an Allen key or something like that. I can't remember the details. It was years ago, but it sucked. It took a lot longer than it needed to, and at that position you can't even ride because you don't have any fluid in your differential. So I would recommend making sure the drain plugs come out first. The drain plugs, like on the transmission on this, is huge, so I can't imagine you not being able to get that off. But like, for example, our X3s, which you'll see when we do the service on them coming up, I don't know, it might be a week or two, but they have it like a little Allen key, which makes it way more difficult. So, or it can be if it's corroded or anything like that. Ours haven't gotten that way. Of course, Stevens is new, and mine, I mean, it has 2,700 miles on it, but at the same time, we don't do a lot of mud and stuff like that. So it just kind of depends on what you put your machine through. So there's the engine oil. The engine oil drain is a 17 millimeter. See, it looks pretty clean. The oil, I mean, it's just, it doesn't have very many hours on it. This is just a break-in oil, so that's why it looks so good. But 17 millimeter, got to keep track of the crush washer. Didn't come out on the plug, so I hope it's just stuck to the bottom of the engine.
Yeah.
But we'll check that out.
Yeah, obviously the filter's doing its job, and when we go back, we're going to torque this to 15 foot-pounds per the manual. So get her in there and sealed up. That way you got no issues.
Looking at the skid plates under here, looks like they've got some metal mixed with some plastic pieces. Is that? Yeah, that's a little plastic.
I like it because everything's removable.
Yeah.
Unlike our riveted on Can-Ams.
Yeah, that looks very nice.
It has these countersunk, really kind of protected with this washer for these bolts, and then obviously down the frame rail here on the side, there's some large Phillips that they you'll see it really on anything that they make. So pretty easy to get these suckers off when you need access, so that's pretty cool.
It is interesting, the frame, I don't know if you can tell, but you can tell the back of the frame, like right about here, is actually lower than up there. So maybe only an inch or two, but this part is metal, so if you smoke this, you should be fine. All right, so I've got the rear diff, transaxle, whatever you want to call it. It is draining. It is a 6mm Allen key to get that out of there. And then the fill plug, which you can see through there, you can get through there. It is a 17mm to get that. So the oil coming out of there looks good. I mean, I don't see a whole lot of metal in it. Of course, I mean, you see a little mixture in there. It's because we've just drained some other things. I just did the Cruze oil and then the engine oil in this thing. So it's all in this thing mixed together. But pretty easy. This drain plug was on super tight, so I really had to crank on it. So make sure you have the right size, since Allen keys like to strip out. So,
ladies and gentlemen, we got them.
No, holy crap, dude!
13 foot-pounds of my freaking rear, dude. That sucker was on there.
Jeez, dude.
We're about to have to call in an engineer to get this sucker off.
Yeah, who's at the Kawasaki factory like?
Golly, manhandling those things. Anyways, getting the filter busted off. Obviously, throw a rag under it, tilt her back a little bit, and
first service is gonna be tight as all get out. So just be prepared. Cause look, I mean, we had to freaking hammer this thing.
yeah, we're gonna do the old stick a screwdriver through it trick, but
yeah,
obviously, get some debris in there, make a mess. Just get the right tool for the job, or have some patience. That's about all you can do. Little metallic, a little bit of residual metal in there. Filter's doing its job.
All right, so we're going back on with a new filter. Steven's working on that, just kind of clean it up. Makes a mess just because it's, you know, mounted sideways, so there's no way not to spill.
A little bit, and then I was just cleaning my surface up, making sure it's flat and gonna seat good. And we're gonna do this Japanese machine and British measurements, and cost for 3.1 liters. Well, good thing they give you liter and quart measurements on the bottom.
They don't actually.
What? Just ounces?
Just 1 quart and 946 milliliters.
They're in American units.
It's gotta be over 3 for sure.
Yes. Like I said, we'll get the sight glass window 3/4 full.
We'll get it 3/4 full, start it, let it run, fill up the filter and all that. I don't know if these, surely they don't empty the filter between you know,
each
turning
cycle.
the engine off. I'm sure they have a what is that, backflow or whatever valve or whatever that is. See, it's starting to just now starting to show on the sight glass. So put some more in. And see that mark there? There's actually a couple marks on the side glass on the metal. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it on the camera, but it's almost there. So that's there. So we'll start it up, let it run for a minute, cycle the oil through, let it rest, and during that process we'll get the rear diff filled back up. So we let this sit for a couple minutes now, and you can see that the oil level is a little lower than it just was, so we're going to go ahead and top that off. We just ran it, so it filled the filter up, ran everything through the engine, then we let it sit to drain back down, and that's where it is. So we're going to top it off to where it's at the top line. Even though it's in the safe zone, it's fine. I mean, it never hurts to be full of oil. Alright, here's rear diff going. It takes 1.4 quarts. So we're gonna put that in. Depending on application, these Amsoil, what do they call these little bags? The
bladders.
Yeah, the little bladder the oil comes in. Easy pack right there at the top. I mean, these are very nice depending on the application. If you've got room or if it's something tight, like if you're filling up a rear differential on a truck and you're right up against the spare tire, those are the thing to have. It makes it way easier than trying to jam a quart bottle of oil up in there and squeeze it and all that. It's a lot easier just to have that little easy pack and fill it up that way. So they definitely come in handy. Alright, so here's the front diff. A lot like the rear. Hopefully it's not 1 million foot-pounds on the drain plug. Feels like it's probably gonna be. So yeah. Okay, it's a 6mm Allen, again, just like the rear. I don't know if this is OSHA approved, but there we go. That just broke loose. Just twist her off. Boom. There we are. There's the oil. So, see little sparklies in there, but not bad. I mean, normal for break-in. A lot of people ask those on forums and stuff like that. They're scared, you know, if it's their first machine. It's normal in the first couple changes to have some oil in the fluid. I mean, it's just nature of the beast.
If you got V-scope, it's always normal.
Yeah. So, don't be scared of it. I mean, automobiles, trucks, cars, they do the same thing. Most people just typically neglect their differentials. Spoke a little soon on the front here. We got to use the easy pack because can't quite make the angle because the arms and stuff. Where's the cap in there? But this takes what'd you say, 0.85 quart?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 0.85 quart. So kind of one of the sucky things about working on these is, I mean, it's inevitably going to make a mess. I mean, when you fill up the diffs, you fill it all the way up to basically till it's pouring out, you know, the bottom of the fill plug. So some's going to pour out, some's going to get caught up in the diff and drip for a while. We'll put some floor sweep, you know, spill cleanup stuff underneath it to sit, you know, while it drips all that out, and then, you know, just gets a water hose or something and rinse the rest of it out. But it'll eventually come out. It's just a sucky part of working on these things. They hold oil. Wait till we get to the X3s. We got a new toy for draining the oil on the X3s that'll help us with not making so much of a mess. But if you don't have this thing, it's hard not to fill the entire skid plate up with oil. So,
All right.
So
You know you're full when it's everywhere.
yeah. So this full.
Make sure you have your O-ring because these ones are known to stick to the fill.
Yeah, they fall out pretty good.
Slap that guy back in there.
So after this, we'll be done. I mean, that's the first service. It doesn't need a whole lot. Brand new, just needs break-in fluids. I can't imagine this thing needing a belt anytime soon, but just swinging around here and looking at it, it's pretty open. And I'm sure the toolkit that comes with it, you know, will fit everything. It is nice. None of the venting is on the cover, so you just looks like you just pop all these bolts out, pull the cover off. It's a pretty big cover, but pull the cover off. I'm sure there's a way to open up the secondary and swap the belt out, but looks like there's plenty of room to get to everything. So that's very nice. I know in my OG Maverick, the engine was in between the passengers, or the you know, the two seats. So the engine was literally right here. So you had some plastic and then you know, an elbow rest, and then 3 inches underneath that was the valve cover for one of the cylinders on the engine. And to replace the belt, you had to pull the seat, pull all these plastics right here, and then finagle your fingers as best you could underneath the cover. You had to go through holes in the skid plate to do the bottom bolts on the cover is just a pain, so it's a lot easier. So I guess knowing where they came from on these and where they're at on the X3, I guess maybe the X3 is not that bad as far as working on it. Still not great though.
Yeah, they're not very fun. Not very fun, especially the two. You got 2 drain bolts on an X3 compared to obviously 1 on everything else known to mankind. But it is what it is. It is what it is. But anyways, Amsoil's in there, so she'll be ready to rip for till its next service interval, which is will just be oil at that point, and I'm sure a few greasings and among a couple other little things. But again, these Kawasaki's hold up pretty well.
Yeah.
They kind of have longer ranges of maintenance, in my opinion. I know on this, it's obviously a little lower because it's more high performance than your typical Teryx. And
that's kind of a wrap. Anything else?
That's it. Just hit us up if you want any Amsoil products. Again, that's on the website. We carry that for all makes, models, power sports, and of course off-road vehicles as well.
Yeah, your tow vehicles, anything.
And obviously your cars, like the Cruze.
Yeah,
and
like the Cruze.
those things. So any type of lubricants, if you got any questions on that, just holler at us. But Amsoil is really the way to go. They have a whole line of other products besides oils. They have lubricants, penetrating oils, and as well as some show and shine stuff for anybody that's doing those kind of shows. So all in all, pretty easy. Once you get the first one knocked out, you know what the heck you're doing.
Yeah, pretty easy. Took us a minute to get the filter off. It was super tight. It's out in the open, but there's just not a whole lot of room to really get in there and get on it. But we finally got it. So
but definitely something you can do at home and feel confident in doing it. And just remember, crush washers, O-rings. Use the right tool for the right job, the right size for the right thing, and easy peasy.
Cool. Make sure to like and subscribe. Share this with others if you enjoyed it, and check back for next video.
Thanks, guys.